I've only had one baptism disaster to date. At the end of the service, the family lined up to take some snaps in St James. Parents, godparents, baby, smiling and happy, that kind of thing. A large Paschal candle was positioned nicely behind Dad, who was holding his precious bundle of joy, head against his right shoulder. Only just before the photo was taken, he stepped backwards, knocking straight into the candle, which should have been on a stand with a spike, but wasn't. It wobbled precariously, tilted forwards, and deposited a well of hot wax straight on top of the baby's head. I guess a very different kind of baptism. When a holy moment goes wrong, it leaves a nasty taste in the mouth. But I'm pleased to report that no lasting damage was done. In fact, I went on to prepare this particular child for confirmation some 10 years later, and a very wonderful young woman she's since become. Usually my baptism experiences are much more mundane. I've had plenty of screamers over the years. They normally don't start hollering until the moment the water is poured on their heads, but my own firstborn son started his performance the second the service started, and didn't stop until the blessing. In medieval times, they consoled themselves that the screaming was the devil coming out of the child, but for some reason modern parents don't find that thought very consoling, so I tend not to share it with them. Many of our adult baptisms are extremely moving occasions, and some of our own congregation members will vividly remember an occasion when the devil did literally come out during a baptism, and that was quite a shock. But I'll say no more about that this morning, but let's now pause and sing together. On one level, it's odd, isn't it, that Jesus even thought to be baptised by John the Baptist. John's baptism was a baptism of repentance for sin, and we believe that Jesus was without sin, so why bother? I think the answer is much more human than theological. Jesus didn't tend to go through his life and ministry working out a detailed theological rationale for the things he did. He was much more instinctive than that. Here is a person in pain and need. Let me deal with that. Here is a hypocrite trying to trip me up. Let me expose that. Here is some men that want to kill me. I need to trust my Father about that. So when Jesus saw his cousin John ushering in a movement of God in which thousands and thousands of lives were being changed, he thought, I want to be part of that. I want to align with that. We can all recognise this. In life there are certain hinges or events upon which our whole life turns. Marriage, birth, death, divorce, getting a new job, a significant illness, going to university. All these things are hinge points in life, and there are many others, smaller and larger. In one sense, each of these hinges is like a baptismal moment, a big well of unknown potential into which we plunge ourselves head first, not knowing how we will be changed when we re-emerge. And this is what makes hinge moments fraught with potential. We create a space in which we can be changed and in which God can change us, but we're not entirely in control of events. This is exactly what happened to Jesus at the moment of his baptism. As he plunges into the water, all he knows is that he wants to be part of what God is doing. As he emerges from the water, he hears a voice. He could have emerged and heard nothing. He could have emerged and, like St Paul on the road to Damascus, seen flashing lights. Or, like people at St James and Emmanuel who are baptised, who often cry at the moment of baptism. But no, into the unknown he was plunged, and as he emerged he heard a voice say, "You are my Son, the Beloved, with you I am well pleased." When you think about it, baptism is a moment of letting go, losing control of your destiny, your certainty. Theoretically, Jesus could have emerged and heard, well, anything. You're a miserable rat, now go smite those sons of a gun. Or, you're no son of mine, go into the desert with John for 20 years and let's see if I change my mind. It's obvious to us now, But how wonderful that as we plunge headlong into the uncertainty of another year, we know that because of Jesus' baptism, the character of God is a good one, that he's a father, that he calls us beloved, and that with Jesus and each one of us, he is well pleased. Whatever faces us in 2022, whatever maelstroms of uncertainty surround us, like the waters of baptism, uncertain, letting go, we can let go into the love of the Father